Hi, it is Shannon here. I'm doing this from just my phone. Gary is out of town, so I don't have the luxury of having my dual camera set up for this piece. And so hopefully it works. If I run into problems, I'll let you know. On this, I am not showing you every single thing on how to do the Leave a Little Sprinkle cards. There is a digital tutorial that you will receive in the email along with these video links. Or link. Hopefully I'll just do it in one. Depending on size, I may have to break it down. So I'm just going to show you some of the cards, and as I go, the things. This card, I'm not actually even going to show you anything on it. This card is basic layering and basic marker coloring. Instructions for measurements if you want to make more. Your pieces are all pre-cut in your kit, so that's one of the cards you're going to make. Now, when you get your kit, you're going to get a half a package of the bright cardstock. So this will allow you to make many more cards other than just the 4 in your project kit. You are going to get almost half a pack of DSP. Unfortunately, the bright DSP is on back order and it has now been discontinued. I will eventually get it, but I'm not sure when. They don't have an estimated date. So I went through my own, and you guys are 3 pieces short from having an exact half pack each. So I have filled in with some of the pages, a sampling from the silhouette packet, and there are some really great swirly marbleized prints that I think you'll be able to use with this set really well. So I filled in with a sampling of that. That wasn't on the original list. You of course get the stamp set Leave a Little Sparkle, and you will get a package that looks like this. So inside of it, if you take everything out very carefully, the pieces for each card are layered together with the solid big card base as the back. Except one card is folded in half because it's a long vertical style of shimmer white and its materials are inside. So inside of that, you're going to find your tube of Crystal Effects, and then there's a clear envelope where you're going to have a yard of the white seam binding. It's wrapped around some Melon Mambo cardstock with an extra piece of glitter black ribbon that you might like based on the thank you cards that I've put. You're also going to get a full half package of the glitter dots, and you will have some of the pearlized doilies. And since these are retiring, I went ahead and gave you a few more than I listed 3 in the packet in the kit supplies, but I had a few more. So you have probably 5 or 6 of the doilies in there. And then you will get a special card from me as well. And I wanted to do a card anyway as a thank you, but this one I did using that extra sampling paper just so you could see something different than on the bright DSP to give you some ideas. And that's where if you want to recreate this card, you have a little piece of that glitter black ribbon in your bag already. So let's go ahead and do the stamping tips and techniques that I want to show you really quickly. So I also thought you might find it interesting. This is how I come up with creating my card designs. I look around at things and I'll see lots of ideas, and then when I get ready to come up with the idea, I quarter cut my papers, or like right now I'm using the back of a Disney notepad from when I stayed there. I just cut them to like a quarter sheet of a card, and then I just kind of draw out an outline. And you can see I'm not any too fancy of an artist. But that's just to give you an idea if you want to create your own. So this is one of the cards you'll create, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but it has the raised crystal shimmer effects on the word sparkle. And this is the ombre or kaleidocolor technique with the markers. So you also in your kit, you will have a package of the bold bright markers. So to do this particular card, I am using the 3 end markers. So on your markers, the fat line means it's the brush tip, and that's typically what I use. And on this card, it uses the head of the unicorn. Oh gosh, I got over here without having a block. Silly, silly, silly. Let me grab those. Okay. Oop, might have knocked my camera. Okay, so to do the Kaleidocolor, I go ahead and mount my stamp first. You don't have to, but it's just easier for me. Boy, I am having issues today. And I tend to start with my light ink. And for this one, I'm just going to go in kind of an area across. And you're just really coloring direct to your stamp. And I'm leaving space in between because I want to do 3 colors. So this is also, if you were just doing this with your markers, it's called direct to stamp marker technique, if you need to look that up. And then the last color is going to be the Gorgeous Grape. Now, the one thing when you do this technique, some of your ink may start drying before you're completely ready to stamp it. So the trick is to do what they call huff or huffing. Just going to blow on that. And I'm going to just turn, you have a piece of shimmer white already cut, and you're going to stamp that right in the center. And you get that kind of striped, mine doesn't look quite as ombre, but it has that stripe thing. So that is how you do that part right there. And that's the base tip for that card. You are also going to do some ombre or tricolor ribbon coloring, and I will show you how to color the ribbons in a moment. So this next card is using the Kaleidocolor wash. So for that, in your kit, you also have one of these little mini paint palettes. I forgot to tell you that because that wasn't on the original kit supplies. And what I did was I like to do the Roy G. Biv for rainbow effect. So that's red, which I'm going to substitute with Melon Mambo. Orange, which is going to be my Mango Melody. Yellow, Daffodil Delight. Green, Roy G. is green, Granny Apple. And Biv is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and use the Bermuda Bay. For indigo, I'm going to use my Pacific Point, and violet is going to be my Gorgeous Grape. So the trick for this is you are going to take the brush tips of each of these. You have, you do have 6 colors. So what I recommend that you do is start with your first 3. Whoops. You're just going to color a circle in there. Color a circle. In fact, I only did 6 colors on here, and I did not use the Pacific Point. I'm realizing that as I look at my card. I was like, this is so confusing. I didn't have extra markers when I practiced this and designed the card. So I'm literally just coloring circles in these little plastic paint palettes. I love these things. They're great. They're washable. They're sturdy enough that you can definitely reuse it. So it's a great little tool for you to have in your kit. Now, you at home needed to have an aqua painter, which looks like this. We have 2 tips, a fat. I don't know if you'll be able to see that really very well. A fat tip and one that is a thinner tip. I am going to use both of these within this card packet. If you don't have both, or if you don't have an aqua painter, you can use regular paintbrushes. For this particular Kaleidocolor wash, I'm going to use the fat tip. So you want a little bit fatter tip. And literally all I'm doing, squeezing a little bit of water down to my tip. I'm dipping it in to the first color, and I'm just going to start washing across. Wipe it off, squeeze, go to the next color, blend that in, blend that in. Sometimes you may need more of the mango and the daffodil yellow because of them being a little bit lighter. So if you find that you need more, or if you've started and you feel like your ink's drying out, just add more. And just wipe your brush or clean your brush in between each color. Your paper This is shimmer white, which is a good watercolor option, but it will slightly curl for this technique. Don't worry about that. You're just going to press it flat. And we're going to go to the green. We're going to do the Bermuda Bay. And we're going to finish up with the gorgeous grape. So that is all that there is to that. Super easy. But when you give this card, people will be astounded and they will want to know how you did that. Now, take your block. You each need to have one, so I'm hoping you do. If you live in Colorado area near me and you don't have the big size block that you will need for the big unicorn, let me know. I can probably loan you one. And you might want to put that on your order list. So then all you're doing is, and here I am again, I did not bring my ink over, so I'm not going to show you. But the next step is, after that dries a little bit and you flatten it a little bit, you literally use the black Memento ink, which was another item that you needed to have, and you stamp it on there. Black StazOn will work, or our classic archival black will work. So you're just stamping him right on there. That's all there is to that. But I wanted you to understand how to do that Kaleidocolor wash. And the next card with some tips is this one. You will need to cut your designer papers for your backgrounds of each of these cards. Everything else I've provided for you. I've provided the stitched shimmer circles. I provided your card bases pre-cut for you, and any little papers you need for sayings, etc. Those are all pre-cut. So the swirl is done using that kind of mixed color direct to marker, direct to stamp technique that I showed on the first card. And this piece, I just want to show you a little bit. And so I'm going to have to hop up. When I film, I am not over at my creation station, as I call it. And since this wasn't a full filming, I apparently forgot half of my supplies. So I'm going to ink that up. This whole unicorn head will not fit on here. So I'm just going to size it down. I want to make sure I get the horn really well. So that is what you're going to start with. You're going to have that. Now, you can use your paintbrush, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your paintbrush or your aqua painter and you're going to go direct to the marker. And for this instance, it's best to hold your marker kind of at an angle going down. You're very lightly, do not use very much water or you may get some bleeding. Okay? And you're going to repeat that and color that in however you want. If you want to try to do it this way, you can direct. You can go, I'll do the horn. You can take your marker direct to the image. Should have been using the fine aqua painter for this. And then you just, the problem with doing it this way is you have less control of the water because you have to get enough water on there to make it look watercolored. So for me, it's easier to take my brush, either my painter or my paintbrush, and go direct. When that all gets done, you'll see on several of these in your digital tutorial, you're going to end up squeezing that Crystal Shimmer Effects over the mane, over the tail, over the word sparkle, whatever it might be. So, and since I have this, but somehow I sprayed some ink on that purple, I'll go ahead and stamp him on there, just kind of so you can see. I got him a little off center. That's all that is. And because I'm using the shimmer white paper, it already has a glitter effect to it, which is also perfect for this Leave a Little Sparkle set. So those are the first tips that have to do with stamping. Now, you have a couple other things that you are going to need to color and techniques that I want to show you. So let me get these out of my way. And that has to do with coloring the pearlized doilies. They come in a full circle. I've just cut this one in half. You're going to use a full circle on this card. On your purple card, you're going to use about a half of one. And on your turquoise one, you're going to use 2/4 or 2 halves, however you decide to cut it. And on this one, it's 2/4 cut down. But you notice that not all those, that one and the purple card have colored doilies. The doily is pearly on one side, it's slick. The back side is a flat white. That's the side you're going to color. You're merely going to take whatever marker color you're choosing, lay a paper on there thicker than this one because you don't want it to go through. Just lay your pen to the side and you're just coloring. It's very easy, but people will be like, oh my gosh, you colored your own doily? Yes, I did. That way you can have a doily in any color. Now, these are just continuing. They are retiring. So if you want any pearlized doilies, I highly recommend you order them sooner than later. We've already got a long list of things that are retired that have sold out. In the new catalog, there are no doilies, I can tell you that are round. There is one type of doily, and it is a vellum square doily. It is beautiful. But just so you know, I love round doilies. I love doilies. They're one of my favorite card accents. So quite honestly, I was very disappointed when I knew they were retiring. However, I do really like the vellum square. Now, to do the ribbon, this is a wonderful thing about white ribbons. And this white seam binding is the best one. It makes it super easy that I've seen. This card uses, you're going to do the same technique, but you're only using the Melon Mambo marker. So I want to show you this technique here. This has the gorgeous grape, the Pacific Point, and the Bermuda Bay on it. So I'm just going to show you how to do that very quickly. And all it is, again, is marker straight to the ribbon. This is just a ribbon that takes the marker very well. I would advise you to do, I got my spaces a little big, do smaller sections because once you tie it, you don't want to end up with a ribbon that you don't see all of your tricolor. I'm going to have to turn my paper a little bit for me to do it. Again, use an extra layer of paper and you want to do it in that rainbow section. So I'm just starting with that. Now I'm going to go down to do some blue, and it's okay if they bleed into one another. They do not need to be, you know, straight edges into one another. I like that they kind of bleed in. And you're just going to go back and forth. The card instructions will tell you how long of a piece of ribbon you need for this. I believe it's somewhere about 6 to 9 inches on this project. And you will see that as you color, the ink does absorb through both sides. I missed quite a little bit on that section of purple. I don't know what was going on. So there is one side and there's the other. You want to let that dry, but it dries very quickly. So those are, when you do the Melon Mambo, you just color Melon Mambo. So those are the tips and tricks to the Leave a Little Sprinkle Stampin' for Good fundraiser. I'm super excited. This was my first fundraiser to try to do with a kit. And I sold 5, which I know isn't a ton, but it will be a nice slot of money that will be getting turned into the Autism Speaks group. And I'll share that eventually on my Facebook. Next month, I'm featuring a beautiful Sizzlen for Good set that uses the Nature's Beauty and some really beautiful champagne shimmer paint. So you may want that kit as well. But those are the little tidbits, and I'll show you again the 4 cards that you're going to end up making. Another thing, just remember when you go to drizzle, I call it, or sprinkle on your glitter dots, they're self-adhesive. You don't have to do anything but pick them up and put them where you want. I always like to do them not all together, so I like odd numbers. I like to try to create that triangle effect so that your eye moves across your space. So I've got 2 here and 1 up here. Or like on this one, I will say this one, you're going to trim that down and make sure that you create that and layer it before you ever put it onto your card. So you want the Believe with the ribbon onto the doilies before you adhere it onto the card. So I hope those tips help you. I hope you learned in your digital tutorial. It really reads and stands out and tells you about the different markering techniques. So I hope you enjoy those and that they're of huge value to you to use in other places with your stamping. If you have any questions or run into any complications or problems with this kit, make sure you reach out to me via messenger, text, phone call, email, FaceTime, whatever works for you. All right, happy stamping, guys.